everyone, my name is Jessie and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about how to read more. Pretty basic, right? So this video is really for those of you who just want to prioritize reading, you want to get more into books, you've seen people talk about how they read one book a week or one book every couple days, and you're like, how in the world could they possibly find the time to do that? So if you're wondering those things and need some tips and tricks that I use on how to read more, then just keep watching. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I read about 2 or 3 books every week. I always try to read at least 5 books a month. So my reading goal for every year is right around 60 books. So a lot of people, when I tell them that, ask me, how do you find time? I work a full-time job, I travel a ton for my job, so that's a really popular question that I get. And here are a couple things that I do that may work for you. The first tip I have for you is find your genre. I fully believe that everyone is a reader, and if you haven't yet considered yourself a reader or you just haven't picked up a ton of books, it's because you haven't found your genre yet. So look and see what are the types of movies or TV shows that you watch. Do you watch more of the crime TV or movies? Do you like superheroes? Do you like more of those drama, the complex characters? Find what you like through other aspects of your life and associate that to the books that you pick up. So for example, if you really like Stranger Things, go online and look up books that are like Stranger Things, and you will find a ton of recommendations. Also experiment. So if you tried a thriller and you just couldn't get into it, maybe look at the type of thriller you were reading. So if you think that you like thrillers, but you really didn't like that domestic thriller with the husband and wife and the drama between a marriage and relationships, maybe look at more of the crime fiction. So there's subgenres within every genre as well. Experiment. Find what you like in other parts of your life and try to associate that with the books that you pick up. The second piece of advice I have for you kind of goes along with the first, and that is learn how to DNF. If you don't know what DNF stands for, it stands for did not finish, and that is when you get halfway through a book or you start a book and you just put it down and you're not going to finish it. A lot of people are afraid to do this. They feel like they're not really reading that way, but I do this all the time with books. Our lives are too short to read something that we're not enjoying. So especially if you're just experimenting with genres, finding that genre that you really love, like my first tip suggests, maybe try DNFing books that you're just really not into, not enjoying, and pick up a new one. Learning how to DNF is how you're going to become a reader. I know that seems kind of contradictory, but trust me on this, do not waste your time with books you are not fully interested in. The third tip I have for you is a pretty obvious one, but we always need a good reminder in our life, and that is don't turn on the TV. What I'm saying here is if you are committed to wanting to read more, don't even turn on the TV, because once it's on, we all know how it goes. You start a show, you start something, and you can't stop watching. And the minute you think that, oh, I'll only watch one episode and then I'll get to my reading, that's the minute you're not reading, because all of a sudden you're sucked into the TV and you're watching episode after episode. So my number one tip, if you're committed, don't turn on the TV. Doesn't mean never turn it on. Just means when you want to make sure you're prioritizing your reading, don't even try to say to yourself, oh, only one episode and then I'll get to this chapter. It won't happen. At least for me, it doesn't. The fourth tip I have for you is try out audiobooks. So if you've never had the opportunity to try out an audiobook, there are a ton of services now that offer audiobooks at more reasonable prices. And this is an awesome way to get some reading in while you're doing other things. So if you're in the car and you have long commutes to work every day, try downloading an audiobook and listening to that in the car instead of music or the radio, cooking dinner for your family. Maybe turn on that audiobook while you're cooking so that you can multitask and get your reading in that way. If you take the train, if you have long walks, this is all good opportunities to listen to an audiobook. And that absolutely counts as reading. I personally am not a huge fan of audiobooks, even though I have given them a try. The kind of audiobooks I like to listen to if I do pick them up are more of the thriller audiobooks or self-help audiobooks, but that's just me, so find what works for you. If you're not into audiobooks or you're only into them for a certain genre, do whatever is best for you. The fifth and final tip I have for you on how to read more is to have your next book picked out before you finish the one you're reading now. So what I mean by that, it is so easy to get through a book and be done with it and feel like, okay, I'm done. I don't know what to read next. I'm gonna put off picking out a next book. So my tip is to already have that next book physically in hand or readily available, either from the library, you've picked it out from a store already, you've ordered it online, it's on its way, before you finish the book you're currently reading. And that way you're more likely to go ahead and pick up that next book and start it right away, rather than putting it off because you don't know what you're going to read next. So those are my 5 tips on how to read more. Are there any other tips and tricks that you all have and utilize in your everyday life for reading more? Definitely make sure to comment down below and let me know what some of your reading goals are. How many books do you try to read a week, a month, a year? It doesn't matter how many it is. As long as you're reading, as long as you're picking up those books, that's all that matters. So don't feel like in order to be a reader, you have to read a book a week. You can absolutely read 1 book a year, and I guarantee you're reading more than the majority of the population, and that's what matters. So do what works best for you, find the books that you love, and become a reader. Thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and until next time, bye.